to midnight, ISWAP terrorists conducted a failed attack on forward operating base Auno, and troops of Sector 1 thwarted that assault with firepower and tactical precision. And they capitalized on that success on the 9th of February when troops in synergy with the Civilian Joint Task Force launched a bold counter-offensive along the Komala axis in Kunduga local government area. So this is what is happening on the end of our Nigerian military operatives, doing what they can to ensure that these camps are at the very least rendered inactive. And I do believe that with the help of a lot of intelligence gathering and all of that, they will be able to not just dismantle the camps, but also trace them and either neutralize them, as they were known to do in this instance that I talked about last, or get them and get to the top, the very top, to put an end to their operations. Because as much as we're recording these gains, sometimes it does feel like, and this is not to put down the military or anything, we want to be able to capitalize on it. So you see something like this, a success recorded, talking about significantly degrading the operations, and we want to see more of that, as opposed to you hear this one day and then the next day you're hearing about the attacks. Because I think somewhere in the news there was also an attack that happened somewhere in Kaduna State. So kudos to our military for doing what they're doing, and as much as possible, let's support them in any way that we can. I believe that they're fighting the good fight. On the other hand, we have also news of 200 foot soldiers, if you will call them that, military troops deployed to Nigeria. And this one was announced by the head of AFRICOM. Yeah, the head of AFRICOM, in the bid to work with Nigeria to end terrorism. The spokesperson for the Defense Headquarters, Sumaila Oba, said the U.S. troops will not be involved, that's this 200 now, will not be involved in direct combat operations. An assertion that the newspaper that first of all made this announcement an assertion that the newspaper said was corroborated by U.S. officials. So we had word about a handful, I think, that came in. Was that a week ago or 2 weeks ago? Now we're having additional 200 troops come in. But the Defense Headquarters is assuring, especially for those who, are a bit skeptical about why this many coming in. Because I think at some point when the initial set came in, the handful or so that came in, the word that went around was, they're strictly here for intelligence gathering and all of that. So 200, and we're having the spokesperson for the DHQ saying that it's not for direct combat operations. So, 200 troops, if it's still based on intelligence gathering, it still remains to be seen. But the United States is saying that these 200 will supplement the small team that was initially deployed to Nigeria. Now, Wall Street Journal was the first to report this news. Premium Times had reported that the U.S. had sent a small team to assist Nigeria, which we had talked about earlier on. And then Wall Street Journal reported on the 200 additional sent to supplement the small team. Now, this deployment, according to Reuters, was announced by, again, like I said, the head of AFRICOM, Dagvin Anderson, who said this move is following a mutual agreement between the United States and the Nigerian government to strengthen efforts against terror threats in the region. So, boots on the ground, basically, if you were to trace it back to something that the U.S. president had said when Nigeria was first designated the CPC, and everything that followed after that. It started out as threats. It was either boots on ground, deployment for airstrikes. Now, we've had the airstrikes happen. Now we're seeing boots on ground, even though it's still circumspect as to what role they're exactly going to be playing. But there you have it. So the U.S. Is planning, now let's be sure, they are planning to deploy. They have not come yet. They are planning to deploy these 200 soldiers. And this is because, according to the Wall Street Journal statement and the statement accredited to the head of AFRICOM, the terrorist activity in West Africa and Nigeria specifically is something they're incredibly concerned with. And they want to partner with capable and willing partners that are able to address these shared security concerns. So that's what was the head of AFRICOM was quoted as saying. Defense Headquarters is also saying that this partnership with the U.S. is in full respect of Nigeria's sovereignty. All right? And so all that is happening also in the area of security. And this is, of course, all following conversations that started with Nigeria being designated as a country of particular concern and the narrative around Christian persecution. Now, on the last security update that we're going to be sharing, before we move on to the next story, just to say that conversation around how Nigeria became designated as a country of particular concern, it hasn't died down in any way. As a matter of fact, U.S. lawmakers, as of today, we're told, have introduced a bill to the U.S. Congress seeking to impose sanctions on a number of people listed, including Rabiu Kwankwaso, former Kano governor, for alleged violations of religious freedom. And now this bill is said to identify Kwankwaso, a former senator, a defense minister, and a presidential candidate as one of the individuals contributing to systemic religious persecution of Christians, and something that has persisted in Nigeria. And furthering this narrative, its sponsors claim, but which has been disputed by local and international observers. Now, this new bill seeks to require the U.S. Secretary of State to impose this ban on Kwankwaso, freeze his assets, and implement other targeted sanctions against him. This is not the first time we're hearing of this bill. As a matter of fact, the first time it was mentioned, and I believe this is the same bill, the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026. We first of all heard of it last year. I'm going to make sure it's the same thing, but the same person who championed the one that came about last year, that's Riley Moore, is the same person on this bill as well, right? Two Republican lawmakers who have repeatedly pushed the Christian genocide narrative against Nigeria. So when it first came about, Magban was on that list. Magban is still on the list. Talking about the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria being mentioned as some of the people who have contributed to systemic religious persecution in Nigeria. But this time around, you're having Rabiu Mr. Kwankwaso's name on it. The Republicans said the former governor and the named associations must be investigated for providing support to Fulani ethnic militia who carry out violence and must be held accountable. The bill also states that the Fulani group, alongside other extremist organizations in Nigeria, have been engaged in organized attacks on civilian communities, particularly the Middle Belt region, all of which has been denied, especially by Magban, of course. We'll take a little break. When we come back, we'll talk some more about this. It's still the security roundup, just taking a look at some of the stories that have come about in terms of security, and we'll talk more on that after this.
On the table, as plain as it can be.
The conversations you want to get involved with,
and the ones you shouldn't.
No hold barred.
Only on your number one station for talk, 95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Do you have a mind that questions? A voice that challenges ideas? And the courage to say, I beg to differ. Nigeria Info FM Abuja is calling on secondary schools across Abuja to enter the ultimate radio debate challenge. I beg to differ Abuja. This season's debate is bold, relevant, and thought-provoking, with millions of naira on the table. Each interested school should select one student to submit a 2-minute debate entry, arguing for and against the topic. Parents should decide their children's career path. To enter, visit www.nigeriainfo.fm/Abuja for full details and submission guidelines. Entries are now open and closed on 13th February 2026. So schools, this is your chance to raise thinkers, leaders, and confident voices who speak up, speak smart, and speak bold. I beg to differ Abuja. Only on Nigeria Info FM Abuja.
It's okay. That is okay. It's okay. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. She off your mic.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info. Your mic is always on. Let's talk.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
Hard Facts.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Thank you for staying tuned in. It's still Hard Facts here on 95.1 Nigeria Info. We're just short or shy of having Dr. Majid in the studio with us. He had to be away for an important assignment, so apologies that he is not here. Definitely looking forward to having him next week, Wednesday. But Shola, thank you. Shola from Cuba, thank you so much for letting me know that you can hear me loud and clear. Now let's get back to the conversation. We're looking at the security updates, just taking a look at everything that's going on around the country. We've talked about the fact that with the gains made and some losses still recorded in terms of security, we are also having the United States planning to send 200 troops into Nigeria. What are expectations about that? The DHQ has come out to say it will not be direct combat operation. So it makes one ask the question, why then have that many? If it's not for direct combat operations. 200 is quite a large number. It's quite the deployment. But they've said not combat. So we'll have to work with that until we see some other reason or some other thing that happens to make us then start asking questions. But again, like I said, the news first came about in a Washington Times post, and then the DHQ was responding to that. But just before we went on the break, we were looking again at the final security concern matter, where you are now having the United States mentioning former governor of Kano State and national leader of the new Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, calling for him to be investigated alongside MACBAN, which is the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Again, not the first time that this legislation titled the Nigeria Religious Freedom and Accountability Act of 2026 is being brought forward. And Riley Moore, Republican congressman, has been at the forefront of this alongside Chris Smith. We also have Brian Mast, Mario Diaz-Balart, and Bill Huizenga, who are proposing this bill. And the sponsors said that President Donald Trump acted justly by designating Nigeria a CPC. And Riley Moore especially has been very, very vocal about everything that's going on in terms of Christian persecution, as he's called it, here in Nigeria. So he's saying the U.S. should use all available diplomatic, humanitarian, economic, and security tools to pressure the government of Nigeria to end impunity for perpetrators of mass atrocities and religious persecution and protect Christian communities, clergy, and other targeted religious minorities. Now, the Nigerian government has been known to react, especially denying the tag of Christian persecution in Nigeria. It remains to be seen what their reaction is going to be to this particular bill, again, because it's not the first time. And Riley Moore seems particularly intent on pushing this. And I mean, we're hoping there's all good intentions behind it, but he's very, very intent on this. I remember he also took the matter to Senate concerning the last attack that we had, where about 170 people, according to most reports, some say 75, were killed, and then many of them abducted. So Riley Moore has been on the forefront of this. It remains to be seen what the federal government's response is going to be, especially now that you have a very notable Nigerian politician being mentioned. And that's not to say that they've not mentioned a few names before, but I don't know that we've had anybody as notable as Kwankwaso on this list. So yes, his name has been mentioned. They're calling for him to be investigated. And they're also calling for the United States to deliver humanitarian assistance co-funded by the government of Nigeria through trusted CSOs, including faith-based organizations, to Nigeria's Middle Belt states. That one very valid, of course. The Department of State and the Department of the Treasury, they're saying, should impose targeted sanctions, including visa bans and asset freezes under the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act on individuals or entities responsible for religious freedom violations, or report to Congress the reasons why such sanctions have not been imposed, including a number of things that they've come out to mention here. Rabiu Musa's Kwankwaso's name also making the list. Miyetti and Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria also making the list, as well as some others. So, no response as at the time of this particular report from the Nigerian government here yet. It remains to be seen what's going to be said. You know that thing that Nigerians have always said, there have been supposed sponsors, and there have been some lists, here and there. One time it's somewhere in the UAE proposing that they have a list. Sometimes there's some subtle way that some politicians here sort of make reference to some kind of a list. Now we're beginning to hear at least one clear name, and it remains to be seen. Of course, we'll be expecting a response or two from Dr. Kwankwaso himself, but that is the final security update story that we have here, and we'll be bringing more as the story develops. Now, not moving too far from this particular story, I had said that we're going to look at something that has to do with monies deployed, right? And of course, in the bid to curb insecurity, Nigerian government has proposed a number of things, especially as it has to do with cattle rustling, herder attacks and all of that. And at some point last year, if I'm not mistaken, was it last year, we had talks of a livestock ministry being created, right? Now, apparently, as far back as 2022, the Nigerian government, through the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, launched what they call the National Animal Identification System. It's supposed to be a tech solution that will help provide a technology-driven solution to curb cattle rustling and scale up the livestock industry. Apparently, this system was built around the digital livestock identification and practicing tool Ranch ID, that's what it's called. And the tool, as explained on the National Animal Identification System website, uses two-dimensional data matrix barcodes on air tags. So basically air tags to sort of take data off and identify cattle to monitor and prevent cattle rustling. In theory, the system reflects the key principles of digital public infrastructure, and it's aimed to create a standardized national database, improving interoperability across agencies, including pastoralists who have historically operated outside formal systems. Now, you think about this, it sounds like something very laudable, some data that would help to, monitor, manage, and also prevent cattle rustling. But it didn't stop at that in 2022. Apparently, as much as 68.3 million naira was deployed to help advance this technology, deploy the technology, and help curb cattle rustling. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at a receipt, according to Premium Times, who was able to source this data from a digital platform, GovSpend, that tracks government spending. And it shows that the Ministry of Agriculture confirmed this amount, 68.3 million naira, to develop this software. Now, despite the fact that this amount was spent, I'm looking at the receipt, being payment made to the above company, name of company listed and all of that. The date clearly stated there. There apparently apparently is no publicly accessible dashboard showing how many animals have been registered nationwide, how many states are actively using the system, or whether the tagged livestock have ever been successfully recovered after theft. As a matter of fact, you have young herders recalling incidents where their homes were invaded, in their settlements, they were attacked, their homes ransacked, probably losing the lives of their family members as well and all of that. Mr. Yahaya, for example, lost 5 relatives, including a younger brother who was killed. Their bodies, unfortunately, pieces before dumping them in a well. Apart from his loved ones, he said the assailants went away with as many as 80 cattle belonging to him and his family. And despite the fact that this theft was reported to the police and the military, they were not able to recover the cattle. And in his instance, he's estimating a loss of about 40 million naira at the time. Now, we are having hundreds of people still being killed in such violence in Plateau State in recent years, despite the deployment of this technology. I want to believe that the technology was deployed because payment was clearly made for it. For herder families such as Mr. Yahaya's, not only do they lose their loved ones, but their cattle are rustled, thus making economic recovery difficult for them. So just to highlight some of the things that are going wrong in our country and why we seem to be having insecurity continue almost unabated. And I say almost because, yes, I had someone here telling me that you can't even treat, or rather you can't even mention some of the things that I mentioned, talking about the gains that the military had made, because at the end of the day, it's like back to back. It's still happening. So even if you're recording gains, our servicemen are recording gains on the daily basis, you're still having this insecurity, this incidents and these attacks happening on a daily basis. So whether it is cattle rustling and ransacking of villages and communities, leading to losses of lives and properties, or religious attacks where they go to these religious churches or mosques or what have you, and they're being killed. The truth is that, according to this report, monies have been deployed, or rather monies have been disbursed to help deploy at least some kind of technology that will help manage this thing. And so this story is definitely one, probably just for your information, but maybe some of you may have one or two things to say about it. But it makes you, again, know that there are monies that are spent, possibly even from the ones budgeted, and most likely from the ones budgeted. And we know that the budget for defense is constantly on the increase. This, I believe, this technology that was deployed is something that is under Ministry of Agriculture or the Livestock Ministry, if you would, at this particular point in time. And yet we're still seeing the scale of cattle rustling evolving from sporadic theft into something that is now a major driver of rural violence in Nigeria. You're having security analysts, herder associations, armed groups, all of them now stealing livestock at scale, talking about the armed groups, selling them in poorly governed markets and using the proceeds to fund terrorism. I think I saw, was that earlier on in the week or last week, there was a particular market that was ransacked because terrorists and bandits were known to go to those markets to go and transact and do their businesses. So you're even having communities that probably, just so that they can have their peace and have their lives, not ended, unfortunately, having to deal with these people. I can't remember in what state it was, but there was a particular attack just to ensure that they don't have a place to go and transact their businesses, because things like this, where the cattle are rustled, they take them to this market to go and transact there, and they're making their money. So yes, this is definitely something that needs to be tracked. It needs to be traced. It needs to be followed up on. 68.3 million naira is a lot of money. The study of the global initiatives transnational organized crime, and the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project found that cattle rustling, as is now known, began as sporadic theft in Nigeria in 2011, and it has now become a primary revenue stream for terrorists locally known as bandits. This is something that is helping basically to fund their activities. This is apart from, of course, some of the sponsorships that they must get. So it's something that needs to be looked into. Digital governance experts describe that technology that was developed as an emerging DPI. That's what it's called. One with potential, but with weak institutional execution. While its design partially reflects inclusivity and reusability, apparently it lags in other key DPI principles. So if that's the case, why was 68.3 million naira deployed for it? Why was an entire 68.3 million naira deployed for it? And if it's not serving its purpose, wherever it was deployed to, they should sit down, do some kind of a review, and make sure that they either upgrade to get it to work so that it serves its purpose of reducing this incidence of cattle rustling that is apparently funding banditry in Nigeria, right? But, who is responsible? Who do we talk to? 2022 is when this money was spent. Who was the Minister of Agriculture at the time? You have an assistant director at the Information Department of the Ministry of Agriculture telling the Premium Times reporter that the initiative is now under the Livestock Development, advising that all questions be directed to the ministry. But according to Premium Times, as at when they were reached out to, they were yet to respond to the inquiries sent to them. And that is sort of like a similar thing that we see across all ministries in Nigeria. I think it was the head of Tracker that was speaking on Morning Crossfire this morning, talking about how when they send, sort of like an FOI, asking, not as people trying to start a fire, but just to follow up and see where monies have been deployed to, a lot of them do not respond. And then these monies go, they just quietly fade away. In this case, it was deployed, I believe, but some people are not entirely sure about how functional, how operational that it was. But anyway, there's also the question of the data integration. So, for example, if you deploy the tags in the cattle, for example, if again it was deployed, you put it in the ears of the cattle. Who are you sharing that data with? Who are you sharing that data with? Is there some sort of shared data bank with security agencies, other relevant entities? Is any of that happening? It's not clear. But there we have it, 68.3 million naira, and not a lot to show for it. That's the final story. Last one would just be a quick update concerning the Electoral Amendment Act and where we are today. What do you think the role of INEC is now, giving the Senate's conditional approval of e-transmission? I remember Josh Amupiton speaking about how, first of all, delay in passing the act has affected their timelines to a great deal. But of course, the bill, as amended, allows for also amended the timeline, which allows for them to be able to do with the time that the Senate put forward, 180 days, as opposed to 360 days. So that might not be so much a concern. But also, you also have the INEC yet to react to the latest position of federal lawmakers. I don't know that. I don't know how this is going to affect them. I just was thinking the commission should be able to come and speak about any technical issue around this current bill that has been passed by the Senate. But final thing on that one, you have Seriake Dixon talking about how Nigeria is not ready for real-time voting. I'll just say what he said very quickly and then open up the phone lines and get your thoughts on it. Former Bayelsa governor and senator representing Bayelsa West said Nigeria is not yet ready for electronic voting, describing the insistence on real-time transmission of election results as unnecessary. He said, and I quote, "What is the meaning of real-time? We are not doing voting, and your vote is instantly added to a portal." He described the term electronic voting as superfluous, arguing that it does not on its own guarantee transparency, which I guess some of the listeners have sort of made mention of at some point in time. He said it does not on its own give you a transparent election. That's if you do electronic what do you call it now? Real-time voting, right? He says it does not guarantee transparency. He says it doesn't count the proceedings of yesterday and the outcome as a loss for democracy. And he made sure to state very clearly that he wasn't speaking as spokesman of the Senate, but in his personal capacity, he was speaking on this, saying that the matter of electronic transmission has lasted nearly 2 years and involved consultations with INEC. That's the deliberations on e-transmission, different workshops, conferences, and all of that. And even though he was not there when the Senate took the initial decision a week ago, he said, as far as this particular issue, tracing resistance to electronic transmission to long-standing political divisions, he said, this issue of electronic transmission is always problematic. Even in the Ninth Senate, when they tried to introduce it, there was stiff opposition, but somehow the party in power has always been very resistant to these notions. Concerning the final consensus that was reached yesterday, he said there was unanimity of opinion. The same report was presented by the House of Rep Committee, and they passed it without controversy, and that was what they all agreed. But the earlier reversal was unfortunate. But in real time, he's saying, look, we're not ready for that. And even if we do, it's not a guarantee of transparency, if you will. It's not a guarantee of credible elections. And basically, he termed the insistence on real-time transmission of election results as unnecessary. Final thoughts on that one. Let's open up the phone lines and get your take on it. We've looked at security more broadly, actually, than any other conversation. But let's talk 0700-951-0000, 009-597-4869. And on WhatsApp is 009-993-0137. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome, sir.
My name is Ajola Victor from Busalagi.
Go ahead, sir.
You see, the political class, especially the APC-led government, want to put INEC in the middle and continue to do whatever they like. They want to frustrate INEC and demand, because I don't know at the end of the day what INEC will do, whether we go for the two or go for one. You see, politicians, we know they are desperate, especially politicians who are no more popular. The millions of Nigerians have rejected them. So they hate electronic transmission. What they believe is a manner, because that is where they will get their way through and get to office. So therefore, I think the opposition among Nigerians must be on the neck of ABC-led government, and the National Assembly to compulsorily approve the mandatory of election results. That is what Nigerians need. Though they are saying that some of them are giving it to them already on television, that power, they don't have electricity. But it is, to me, it's a shame on Nigerians, on politicians to come out on the media, on stated on a television, maybe on radio, and be telling Nigerians that they don't have electricity in their community, in their town. Upon all the money they are collecting, because there's allowances and other money, and they cannot fix it. So
okay.
I think, for me, INEC has trillions now to work with, billions to work with. Let them make special arrangements so that there will be electricity on election day in all the towns and villages, in all the 774 local governments. There's no excuse that
all right.
INEC has money now.
All right.
Just for not frustrate INEC. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adiola. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. My name is Emmanuel Ocharipu, the Freedom Wheeler from the city of Talakas in Maraban.
Go ahead, sir.
We are, the discourse about this electoral reform cannot just be overemphasized. We can overemphasize on this matter because of the importance, that it has with the credibility of our elections, particularly the 2027 election. First of all, let us look at it from this angle. I want to ask you now. I think in all the institutions in Nigeria today, if you ask me the most accurate institution who are working very well and fully electronic is banking industry. You understand? They are working very perfectly from all villages of Nigeria. The most remote villages in this country, there is a bank who is working there. And they are electrical, they are digital, they are not analog, And if that is the case, and if bank can achieve it, if CBN can make that happen, I don't know why INEC and the lawmakers, the National Assembly, adding presidency to them, cannot guarantee electronic transmission without any condition from any part of Nigeria. Why they're not able to guarantee electronic transmission of results from any part of this country? Why the banking industry have succeeded years ago in that particular area? I think the problem we have here is that some people are so afraid to lose the election, and they are going to go by force.
Thank you.
Nigerians are watching. Thank you.
All right, sir. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
Yes,
Hello,
I can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, I can hear you. Well, I want...
Hello? There's a problem with your network, sir. Kindly call back. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Yes, my name is Somi from the Pokuma.
Welcome, Sammy. Go ahead.
Yes, what I would like to say about this electoral reform is this. Until when Nigerian electoral becomes independent, as in...
Sammy, could you speak up, please?
Okay, hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
So I said until when Nigerian electoral form becomes independent, just as their name, but because most of the funding that they are going to release to them is still going to come from this government. So indirectly, they are not yet independent. Until when they become independent, all their resources, all the money comes from external, or they generate that money themselves. Have good elections. I've worked as an adult staff severally in Nigeria, and I know how elections will end. Do you understand? So, doing a reform,
Sam?
Yeah, you understand? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. You said doing a reform or what?
But what I'm saying is this. It is only when INEC becomes independent, like all the funds given to them that is not coming from the current government, that is when they can actually stay on their own and make sure that election work the way they project it.
Okay.
This electoral, automated, what's it called? Election routine. They said it last year, and they still have a backup of this manual thing.
All right.
System. The same thing will happen this year too,
because
you still have to form them.
Okay.
And not able to give them. So once they give them, they will be able to provide those for them.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Somi.
Welcome. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Olatunji calling from Kuya.
You can go ahead, sir.
Okay, I think I've seen some of my points concerning this issue yesterday about, we think the Senate have done on their capacity by allowing the electronic transmission, and the other one, which is in 2 ways to determine election results. And what I see there, according to what I said yesterday, my encouragement will go to the other political parties. You see, what I think is missing here is trust. So other parties now should be working on their own internal trust by appointing their successive agents, party agents. That is how they can do the trust. And I think again, our trust is on INEC chairman. Remember, in his agenda He promised on electronic transmission. And I think I'm not talking for Mr. President. And I know even the real world, like Trump, everybody, they are looking unto us ahead of this election. And I think Mr. Chama will not like to send it. He will not like to put Nigeria on fire.
Okay.
So our thought will be on INEC chairman. And what I think is that, it is flawed. So let Nigeria, and Nigerians are not going anymore. Even apart from the institution, Nigeria themselves, we are already standing as an institution. So
all
we
right.
are not going to play any.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Olatunji. Thank you. All right. He says his trust is in INEC, and automatically, with what's happened yesterday, this basically, what the bill, is saying basically, it's basically increased accountability on INEC. I don't know if there is still that ambiguity, yes, but basically, accountability has been increased in terms of INEC, or where as far as INEC comes in, they have to provide concrete proof of their technical readiness. How do they do this? Beyond the mock elections, for example, the one that happened on Saturday in the build-up to the FCT area elections, how actually can INEC provide proof of its technical readiness? Some say they have to expand network partnerships to cover blind areas in rural areas. And ideally, just as someone said, if you had an independent INEC, perhaps those are some of the things that they'll already be looking at. Josh Amupita is probably already looking at it now. But the question of their independence comes into play, especially because there is that little loophole there that can be exploited. As far as public trust, it still remains to be seen if anything can change concerning that. But that's where it is as far as the bill has passed yesterday. And again, maybe Josh Amupita has something to say about it concerning the clause there, the conditional clause there. It can be a double-edged sword. It can protect INEC from being sued for every minor glitch while also presenting a loophole. But let's go for the news. It's 4 o'clock. When we come back, the conversation continues. Remember, there are other stories there, especially the security ones. You might want to weigh in on one or two of them. But for now, let's hear from Joy.
Port 1, Abuja. Let's talk. 5.1 Nigeria Info, Abuja.
And now, news from the nation's capital. This is Abuja Today.
FCT Minister Somi says the strategic road networks linking the Abuja Airport Expressway to Kuje and Gwagwalada are on track for completion before June 2026. Speaking on Wednesday during a continuation of his project inspection tour, Wike said the projects have reached advanced stages and are set for inauguration within the next few months. The minister highlighted the importance of the route, noting that it will provide a direct link between the airport and surrounding satellite towns, significantly reducing travel time for residents. He confirmed that the airport to Kuje Road, a critical stretch, has surpassed 70% completion, while the Kuje to Gwagwalada section is nearly 65% complete. Wike added that once finished, the new road will allow travelers moving between Gwagwalada and the city center to bypass the main airport road, easing traffic congestion in the area. The chairman of Bari Area Council, Mr. John Gabaya, has presented a 30.6 billion naira budget of consolidation for 2026 to the council's legislature, marking the final appropriation of his tenure, which concludes this June. The proposal allocates 22.9 billion naira to capital expenditure and 7.6 billion naira to recurrent costs, with a primary focus on completing ongoing projects and ensuring a smooth transition for the incoming administration. Despite national economic pressures like inflation, Chairman Gabaya highlighted his administration's recent successes, including the implementation of the new minimum wage and the settlement of outstanding pension deductions. And finally, ahead of the FCT Area Council election scheduled for February 21, 2026, INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amupita has assured the National Peace Committee that the Commission is acting on critical security intelligence. The delegation led by Atta Barkindo announced that the Member Area Council, Ambuari and Kuke will receive special scrutiny to mitigate identifying professional qualifying confirming that the EFCC and police are alert to arrest offenders. Highlighting the 2026 local polls as a vital litmus test for the 2027 general elections. They emphasized that the upcoming CISO poll remains a binding social contract for all political actors to maintain order and accept the results. And that's Abuja Today on 95.1 Nigeria Info. Thank you for listening. More news comes your way 5 p.m. The news update. I am Joy Aberabin.
With all the stories that make the news,
The headlines,
the captions,
the breaking news, details of the story.
let's talk about these and more.
On 95.1 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
With information comes power.
We give you more power with information. 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Let's talk. There's a place where you can get it all trending.
People are dropping on their vehicle and running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you can air your views.
I want to report the situation.
Only on your number one station for talk.
This is not the way. We cannot continue like this.
95.1 Nigeria Info. Abuja. Let's talk.
Welcome back to Hard Facts.
This is Hard Facts.
Hard Facts. On 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We're still taking your thoughts on all the stories in the big three shared so far. We're doing this with you as our special guest, so do well to calling and be a part of the conversation, or write in or send a voice note. Either one or any of them will do just fine. 0700951 0000 009 597 4869, and on WhatsApp it's 009 993 0137. Thank you to all our listeners who are writing in on Facebook. Also, Francis Omagandamani from Enugu State, we see you. Thank you very much for your compliment. Says only electronic transmission of results will save this country. The network providers should do everything possible to provide sustainable network across the length and breadth of this country. We've also had WhatsApp messages here. Let's quickly take them. Mommy Sio, when terrorists go and ransack villages, kill people, the military will say they pursued them. Haba, please, another news. This is not news. Anonymous with that one. Did I hear you say Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso? These are people who want to be our president. Leo with that one. Good afternoon, Somi. I want to greet our military officials for their efforts to put an end to insecurity in Nigeria. But I find it so difficult to understand why some people choose to terminate other people's lives without feeling bad. On the part of the government, they should do all they can to eradicate insecurity in the country. Not bad at all for international communities to impose sanctions on anybody who's suspected to be supporting terrorism in Nigeria. Some of these high-profile politicians are behind terrorism in Nigeria and don't even care whether people die. Oludade Abiodun with that one. And Paulinus from Durham, he says, make no mistake, those 200 U.S. soldiers are more like an elite squad to me. It is a bold move in the right direction, as we need all the assistance to decisively root out terrorism in Nigeria. Paulinus, they're speaking to the 200 U.S. troops that are said to be that are going to be deployed, not yet on ground. But yes, thank you for your message. Good afternoon, Somi. The U.S. are talking of Musa Rabiu Kwankwaso. What about Sheikh Gumi, that is going around freely with bandits, Jatal with that one? And Vitalis asking why I couldn't link up with Dr. Majid. I promise you if I could, I would have. But where he is, the network is not so great. So we're just going to have to keep our fingers crossed and hope to have him next week. All right. Somi, 16 terrorists killed by the Nigerian military, and they're announcing that over the media, ignoring the fact that the terrorists too are painfully killing a large number of our soldiers. Also, they fail to acknowledge the fact that the number of new recruits by the terrorists for reinforcement is far higher than this. War is not won on media. The Defense HQ should stop telling us how many bodies they killed. To kill the insurgents, people like the governor of Borno State should be decisively dealt with for granting pardon to terrorists. Also, they should be able to fish out the ranking terrorist commanders amongst them. Otherwise, they have not done anything to win the trust of the public with these stories. The failed coup happened in October last year. Even till date, look at how the military is cracking down on the plotters, because that one threatened the interest of one individual. They should stop telling us stories. That's from Israel. Okay. Let's go to the phone lines and take some calls. Who do we have here? Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
My name is Lawrence. I'm calling from Jabi.
Yes, Mr. Lawrence.
Just quite unfortunate that we have a government that can give anything for them to be in power. Government that life doesn't matter to them. And they can, even if 1,000 people died in Nigeria, for them to be in power, they don't even care. If not, I'm from Abia State, Alaye precisely. Then how do you call from Iberi? Can we travel? I think you people journalists can bear with me. Can you, if you travel now to that particular place, that Iberi, there's network in that Iberi. Airtel is there, MTN is there, Glo is there, in that Iberi there, in Abia State. How can he be in Abuja be telling lies? The situation in Abia State that there's no network. Even our own mother can testify that there is network there. I don't know what is wrong with this opposition. May God save us from Nigeria. Madam, this is getting too much. I don't know how we get to this very place. Okay, let all those atheists, let them come out to defend. Are they talking on behalf of INEC or are they talking on behalf of their own? And I bet you, with this very thing, God will turn their plans upside down. Because the suffering is too much. I'm talking about Kwankwaso. We are not surprised if America is giving us all this list. We Nigerians are not surprised at all. There are sympathizers out there. There are many of them. There are many Kwankwasos there. And this is somebody that is planning to be made a vice president also. You cannot bury your past. There's an adage that said that those who bury past doesn't move with people that are holding shovel in their hand. If you bury your past, you don't have to follow people that have shovel. They will dig out your past. God bless you this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Now, remember, concerning that particular report, the U.S. has called for him to be investigated. I think it still remains to be proven, but one would expect that they must have some form of intel, and they would not just be naming names. But it still remains on the Nigerian government to investigate, as they have called for investigations to be done. But the question again remains, are we going to see anything, any kind of response, maybe to affirm or to deny, or we need to go beyond just mere denials at this point. If they have called for an investigation, it will make sense that an investigation will be done or should be done, and if it has been done already, because I don't want to believe that we have a federal government that has intel and is just simply not acting on it. I don't want to believe it. You can believe what you want, but I don't want to believe that they have intel and they're not acting on it. So if at all there is some kind of a link, whatsoever it is, I believe it rests on the federal government to come out and say, we've investigated and these are our findings, and if they've not investigated, perhaps they can tell us why, because that again is one thing that the sponsors of this bill are calling for. They're saying investigate and impose sanctions. They on their own end will do a visa ban, possibly asset freeze, using the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Act. But if at all anything is not being done concerning any names listed, assuming that they have been investigated, they're also saying state why that you're not doing such a thing. But let's get back to the phone lines. We still want to hear from more of you. We have some time in our hands. Good afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon, Somi.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hey, Somi. How are you doing, ma'am?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, this is Gerald.
Welcome.
Okay, so my take on this, what I call a storm in a teacup. I know many will come crying after this, but it is indeed a storm in a teacup. This debate of electronic transmission. Now, just for the record, I 100% support. Okay, the haul back, I hope it's not a problem because. Somi?
I'm here. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm having this terrible haul back.
It's not
okay.
audible
Right.
to us. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, I 101% support electronic transmission of results, election results. I want Nigeria, only those that Nigerians vote should get into elective offices, leadership position. However, there is no way. Oh my God. Okay, Somi, I'm having serious trouble with.
Do you want to call back? Because we can hear you clearly. Maybe if you call back,
okay,
I'll try
one more. I'll try one more. I'll try one more. If it does, I'll call back. Okay, like I was saying, I want a situation where, I have to call back. This is not good.
All right. Let's have you do that then. In the meantime, we'll go to the voice notes. We've had a couple of them come in, starting with this one. If I can play it from here.
Hello. Good morning, Somi. This is Professor Lajide from Ontario, Canada. Somi, it's quite unfortunate that United States government only concentrated on political individuals. They should focus more on the government, the roles they have played during this attack, during this bandit terrorists that is ravaging Nigeria today. Because I could remember the Canadian court here tagged APC and PDP as a terrorist group few months ago because of a Nigerian citizen that came here and seek for asylum. His asylum was denied, and then because of his affiliation to PDP.
Hello? Oh, it's a voice note. I was wondering why I stopped. I mean, on that, there was some discrepancies in that particular report, but let's hear the rest of your thoughts.
So, United States government should also focus more on this PDP, APC-led administration, because since till today they have not come out to tell Nigerians how bandits came into Nigeria before the 2015 general election. I think there is a conspiracy theory that describes how these people came in and took over Nigeria.
Okay, you've gone past the 90-second mark, so I'm going to have to let your message stop at that point, even though I was having difficulty playing it. But let's take a few more calls. We'll come back to the voice notes. Gerald?
Hello?
Is it better now?
Okay, Gerald, calling back. I hope it's better now, yeah. Okay, so I will say that I want a situation where nobody smells any government or leadership position except those that the people rightly or wrongly voted. I say rightly or wrongly because most of the time, we electorates, we don't always choose the best candidates. But now, I worry. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Gerald. Go ahead.
I worry, Somi, that an election 2023, which I witnessed, participated in, which the clear winner emerged, just because there was electronic glitch. I'm not holding brief for INEC. That election result should have been transmitted. But if I was INEC chairman, I will never transmit it. If I notice in good conscience before God that there were attacks attempts to hack it and, change the outcome. I will not allow it to be transmitted. And just because of that, the narrative of rigging Obi out, because we have to call it what it is. Rigging Obi out, which never happened. Obi that came third, he never won an election. It has stuck, and that's why we're making all this noise. Now, let me summarize. Finally, yesterday, the Senate took a position and said, I have agreed with you people that election it must be electronically transmitted.
Okay.
Any ward, any polling unit where there is election, transmit it electronically.
Okay.
But if there is any way it proves impossible to be transmitted for any reason, and there are a good number of reasons, then there is a fallback position consistent with lawmaking.
Okay.
Every law has proviso. Nigerians are still saying that anybody is running, somebody is afraid of whatever.
That's your time,
It doesn't
Gerald.
sound intelligent to me.
That's your time, Gerald.
It doesn't sound intelligent to me.
All right.
It
then.
doesn't sound intelligent.
Thank you. Perhaps maybe you can put your point forward without labeling it as unintelligent, because the same might be said for your position as well. However, you might have a position on that, and the calls about ambiguity, I think, is where Nigerians are kicking in, and I don't think it's unintelligent for that particular loophole to sort of like be cleared, especially because of the legal implications and what happened in the last electoral year. So let's keep it clean. Make your point. If you don't agree with another person's point, that's fine. But don't label what they're saying as unintelligent, Gerald. That was not right. All right. Let's see. Who else do we have here? I think I have a call here. Good afternoon. Sorry about that. Good afternoon. Okay. It's probably a network thing now. So let's go back to the voice notes. Let's take this one. Bush, let me play my voice note to Luau. Okay.
Good afternoon, Auntie Somi. My name is Triple D, sending this voice message right now from Waru. Thank you for all that you do for humanity, especially in the line of your duty.
Thank you, sir.
Auntie Somi, you listed quite some challenges. First and foremost, we appreciate our Nigerian military security agencies. If they can maintain this tempo, I think in the next 2-3 months, will be celebrated. But we pray that God open doors of wisdom and strength for them, so that the enemy of the nation can always be brought down. On the issue of Kwankwaso, Somi, it calls for worrisome. You rightly put it. Me personally, this is not the first time I'm hearing about this man, Kwankwaso. And I begin to ask myself then that time, is it true or not? Who is telling us what? If you look at this killing that is going on in this country, it's totally worrisome. It's so confusing. You know, these people, they carry a well-planned, coordinated attack killings. They move from one state, today in Plateau, tomorrow in Benue, next tomorrow in Taraba, another day in Niger State. And nobody has been brought to book. And you begin to wonder, this personality that are being mentioned in this kind of a thing, is that true? But my worrisome is someone like Kwankwaso, a key figure in this country, aspiring to be a president or a vice president. If such allegation allegedly are not confirmed and brought to book, and such personality become a leader, a head of a country like that, where are we heading to? Well, what next? We are waiting to see, because a lot of people need to be brought to book so that we'll have an end to this killing. Me personally, I cannot go back to my state and sleep with 2 eyes closed. Does that make sense? What is the essence of life? If these kind of killings are going on and tomorrow you hear the name of this person, next tomorrow you hear silent, and then we continue like that, what life is? Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Triple D. Prince Ohifo on Facebook also talking about Kwankwaso being thoroughly investigated. and that would serve to either clear him or convict him. But the question again, are we going to have any sort of follow through on this one name that has been mentioned? There are probably a number of names as well. Someone was talking about how, why talk about a Kwankwaso when you have a Sheikh Gumi, for instance, but who does it rest on to follow through with everything that we're seeing, whether it's in the naming of names or in the supposed affiliations or connections when it comes to some of these bandits and terrorists and what have you? Who does it rest on, and why are they not doing it? Prince Okifo continues, may God continue to use America and other governments to keep doing what Nigerian government is scared of doing. On the livestock and money budgeted to make the business rewarding and less bloody, those guys and their sponsors in high places will reject whatever that would prevent them from killing innocent farmers. Prince Okifo with that one. Let's see. Mike from Abuja, I'm not going to read your message, or at least not the first part. He does go ahead to say there's a lacuna on the bill passed by the Senate yesterday. If people like Orjis or Kalu have not been able to bring good network coverage to their villages, they should not be voted back in office. All right. We hear you. Let's take this call. Final one. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Welcome.
Somi, how are you today?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Yes, my name is Obedient Elder Comrade Tony, calling from Abuja this afternoon.
Elder, welcome. I'm going to have to beg you, please keep it short. I have a commercial break in a few seconds, so please go ahead.
Okay. Now, Auntie Somi, the last caller, that's Mr. Gerard, got it all wrong. I believe he's still hallucinating over that 2023.
Elder, I cautioned him on his use of the word unintelligent. Please, let's keep other stronger terms away from the conversation. Go ahead and make your point, please.
Yes, you see, because people like that are probing on the sensitivities of well-meaning Nigerians. How can he say that Peter Obi never won that election? When it was very, very clear, even the result, we the obedient members are, because I was one of the chief agents of Labour Party. The result at our disposal show as Peter Obi clearly won that election. And even when he took all those results to the tribunal, the judges refused to look at it. Now, what is he talking about? You see, it is people like that that doesn't want Nigeria to move forward.
All right.
Mr. Gerard, he won.
That's okay. That's okay, Elder. Let's not get into that. Sometimes you even have to be sensible to some of the contributions coming in. I believe Gerald said what he said, knowing that he was going to get a rise out of you. Don't give him much more power than he needs to have at this point. Let's also not tow that path altogether. All right. We need to go on that commercial break. When we come back, the phone lines will be open for a few more minutes. So do stay with us.
That's 2 millionaires made every day.